You know, being the son of one of the greatest guitar players who has ever lived has to be one of the hardest jobs in rock music. Think about it. Every riff you write gets compared to Eddie Van Halen. Every solo gets compared to Eddie Van Halen. Every interview starts with Eddie Van Halen. Most people would never even try. Wolfgang Van Halen didn't just try. He decided to play every instrument on his debut album just to prove a point. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Drinkin Vinyl. If you're new here, this is the show where we crack open a cold beer, throw an album on the turntable, and talk about why records still matter. I'm Chris, and today we're checking out Mammoth WVH, the debut album from Wolfgang Van Halen. And yes, I've got another Busch Light. At this point, Busch Light owes me a sponsorship. If anyone from Busch is watching, my email is ready. But until then, I'll just keep buying them myself. I'll admit something. When this album was first announced, I wasn't sure what to expect. Whenever someone famous has a kid who gets into music, people immediately split into two groups. One group says they're only successful because of their last name. The other group assumes they're going to be incredible before they've heard a single note. Neither one is fair. Wolfgang had to earn every bit of respect he has now. And honestly, I think this album shut a lot of people up. Most people first saw Wolfgang as the teenage bass player in Van Halen. Imagine being 16 years old and replacing Michael Anthony. That's pressure. Then your dad is Eddie Van Halen. Your uncle is Alex Van Halen. Your last name is literally one of the biggest names in rock history. No pressure there either. But here's what impressed me. Instead of trying to make Van Halen Part 2, Wolfgang decided to build something completely different. Why the name Mammoth? I love this little piece of history. Before Van Halen was called Van Halen, Eddie and Alex originally used the name Mammoth. Wolfgang revived that name decades later. It's a cool way to honor his father's legacy without trying to recreate it. He's saying, I know where I came from, but this is my story. That's classy. Here's the part that really blew my mind. Wolfgang didn't just write the songs, he played the guitars, the bass, the drums, the keyboards, and sang every vocal. That's insane. I can barely keep rhythm tapping my fingers on the steering wheel. This guy made an entire album by himself. That's talent. And here I am celebrating because I managed to mow the yard without breaking something. Starting off the album, the first time I heard Don't Back Down, I smiled. Not because it sounded like Van Halen, because it didn't. It's modern, heavy, catchy. It has an identity all its own. That's exactly what Wolfgang needed. If this sounded like Panama Part 2, people would have criticized him. Instead, he made something fresh. I don't think You're to Blame gets enough love. It's got a huge chorus, a great groove, and it shows Wolfgang understands songwriting, not just musicianship. That's an important difference. Lots of people can shred. Not everyone can write songs people remember. I don't know how anyone listens to Distance without feeling something. Knowing it was written for Eddie, it changes everything. This isn't some calculated tribute designed to sell records. It's grief. It's love. It's gratitude. You hear it in every word. And that's what makes it one of the most powerful songs on the album. I lost my dad several years ago, and songs like this remind me that music can say things we sometimes can't. That's what great songwriting does. The production on this record deserves some praise too. Everything sounds huge without being overproduced. The guitars are thick, the drums punch, the vocals sit perfectly in the mix. Nothing feels cluttered. It's modern rock done right. I've actually heard people complain there aren't enough flashy guitar solos. Honestly, I don't care. This album isn't about proving Wolfgang can play guitar. We already know he can. It's about writing songs. And I'd rather hear 10 great songs than 10 guitar solos that exist just because people expect them. Now let's talk about the vinyl. This is one of those records that deserves to be played loud. The artwork looks absolutely fantastic. The pressing sounds clean. It's one of those albums where sitting down and listening front to back just feels right. That's what this channel is all about. Now, if I had to pick my favorite songs, Distance is impossible to ignore. Don't Back Down is a fantastic opener. You're to Blame deserves way more attention. And Feel has become one of those songs I keep coming back to. So, here's the question: is Mammoth WVH worth owning? Absolutely. Not because Wolfgang is Eddie's son, because it's a genuinely great rock record. It's honest, it's well written, it's emotional, and it proves Wolfgang isn't trying to replace anyone. He's carving out his own place in rock music. My Busch Light rating, well, it's 4.5 out of 5 cold cans. This album's earned a permanent spot in my collection, and I find myself coming back to it more than I expected. That's the sign of a great record. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you've heard Mammoth WVH, let me know your favorite song down in the comments below. Let me know, positive, negative. Do you think Wolfgang has completely stepped out of his father's shadow? Or will people always compare him to Eddie? If you enjoyed hanging out with me today, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. There are plenty more records, plenty more beers, and plenty more conversations coming your way. Until next time, I'm Chris. Keep your beer cold, keep the vinyl spinning, and I'll see you in the next episode of Drinkin Vinyl. Cheers.